Yeah, how's it going, everybody? Amazing people from Instagram. This is Jose Trujillo, world's greatest living artist, coming to you here from my art studio. And I'm looking here on my computer monitore, painting by none other than the great Caravaggio, right? Michelangelo di Caravaggio. I love this artist. This guy. I'm gonna do a group of paintings sessions like this where I'm gonna be talking about my je ne sais quoi, my point of views, my je ne sais quoi, my point of views from these paintings, because I believe that this Italian Baroque master was a very interesting guy. This is my hand, by the way, that is like going crazy back here. I think this guy had a lot to offer, and I think he was very misunderstood. Let's see right here. I hope you guys can see it better right there. Can you guys see it? Let's see. I don't want to create too much glare because I am showing you guys this from a computer monitor. So, anyways, great master. This painting is titled Supper at Emmaus. Something like that. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Supper at Emmaus. This is a depiction, more than likely. I'm almost sure that this was a commission. I don't know what cat commissioned it. Someone. You guys know all the details about it. That's cool. Go for it. Go bananas. Nerd out on the details. I really like the aesthetic value of this painting. This is really what I care most about. The basic details of this painting is that, of course, it was painted by a Baroque master artist, right? What's his name? I just said his name. Come on. Michelangelo di Caravaggio. We know him as Caravaggio because that's the town or the place where he was from, right? And we don't call him Michelangelo just because we already knew a Michelangelo. And this painting was created in 1601 through 1603. So it's kind of debatable whether it was started there and finished in 1603, I think. Anyways, this is a very common Christian painting, right? A lot of the paintings back in the day. You can see my Starbucks right here. Look, ooh, floating. It's right here. Bam. Sorry about that, guys. I just couldn't help myself. So, what's the magic? I guess the mystery, the magic of this painting. Well, I don't know. For me, right? I'm gonna be talking about how I see these paintings. What do they mean from an artist's point of view? And I believe that this painting is full of esoteric value. What I mean by that, it's deeply spiritual, but not in the conventional way. Now, you would think this is a spiritual painting, but this is really just a religious subject. And it can be a spiritual painting, depending on who's watching it and how you feel about it and what you can extract from it. What I see here is, of course, I believe this is the resurrected Christ, right? Going incognito and finding his way around his followers. And it's all cool and whatnot, right? But what I find very interesting here is that Caravaggio is a dude that is famous for painting things that are mistreated or rotten, right? And putting them in a light where a very dramatic light known as chiaroscuro, and putting them sort of in a pedestal, right? As we know, a lot of his paintings, a lot of the muses or the models he used were beggars and prostitutes, right? From what we understand in history, and his saints and his virgins, and there were street cats. He himself, he was an interesting guy. If you guys haven't read about him, those of you who have, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you who haven't, then you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to tell you a little bit. That cat was crazy. The Caravaggio cat was a very crazy guy. I dig him. I would have been his friend. Maybe he would have stabbed me. I don't know. But he was gangster for sure. And I dig that. I think he had a wild heart. Anyways, I'm not going to go into his story. You guys can go ahead. He's worth a Google. But what I like is that he told it as it is. He got he pretty much liked to redeem subjects. And this is something that artists do all the time. We redeem subjects, right? We get an everyday object or subject and we put it in the highest possible light, in the highest pedestal, right? And we give it honor. This is why we have still lifes. Again, his still lifes are always kind of rotten. If you can see right here, they always seem kind of, I mean, look at that bird. They always seem kind of, it's a chicken. Yeah, those are some chicken legs. It's kind of, it's almost, and not because the painting is discolored here in the monitor or whatnot, but it's almost like missing its light, right? Because again, in Caravaggio, not everyone has light, right? I mean, not everyone is the only source of light. Everyone seems to have that in common. That's a common denominator in Caravaggio's paintings, where whether you're the beggar, the sinner, or the saint, you get the same amount of light, right? This is something that I love about Caravaggio. Christ doesn't get more light just because it's Christ, right? They all get light. And light source is very important for Caravaggio. Caravaggio sees that as something very important. And of course, as an artist, those of you who are artists, you understand that light source is extremely important, and you're really honoring your subjects or your figures, whatever you're painting. You really honor them with light. You're putting them, as we say, in the best possible light. So why do I find this extremely esoteric and extremely spiritual, deeply spiritual? Very simple. As I talked about before, a lot of the sages talk about light, about time being linear, right? We know that time is linear for us. For most people, time is linear. What do we mean by that? It's horizontal, right? Time happens to be horizontal. I made some videos about that. Time happens to run like this, right? You have future, you have past, and then you have present, which seems what the Messiah is talking about, right? The Messiah seems to be talking about that. And now this is not some idea that just crossed my mind and I'm just kind of BSing you guys. Bear with me. I think this is deeply spiritual. He's talking clearly, I believe, right, about the kingdom, right, of heaven. Where this guy is like, almost like, really? Like, what do you mean? Look at the gestures in his hands, right? It's almost like apprehensive, like, I can't believe this. This guy's almost jumping out of his chair, right? But this guy is like, how big is it? How big is it, my Lord? How big is it? How expansive is it? How linear is it, right? How horizontal? Because our minds run time as horizontal. And if you guys have studied a little bit about you don't have to study that. You're born with that, knowing that. The only time you have is now, right? So it's vertical. And it seems like the Christ is talking about something here, right? Right here. He's like right here, right now, right here. And it's almost like, for me, it feels like it's here, right? Vertical, and now. Here and now. Right? Or here and now, however you want. But both gestures happen to point to present moment, like right here, where you're standing, right? And then the gesture is very vertical. And you see a lot in these full paintings, especially in a lot of artworks that also happen to do with Hinduism and more Hindu traditions. Also, you see that they point to a vertical. Also, Buddhist traditions point to a vertical reality, right? Where most of us are like, how wide is it, right? And it's very interesting to me because he's not talking about time, right? I'm applying this in my understanding of this painting. He, the Messiah, is supposedly talking about the kingdom of heaven, but to me it's almost as clear as the daylight that he's referring to the present moment, right? And but it could be translated as time, right? As the kingdom. Like, where is it, right? Where is it? How big is it? This guy's saying, I can't believe it, right? And it's almost so clear to me. And again, I mean, this figure, right? Jesus has been. It's almost there's a parallel, right, between him and the fruit, right? Because Caravaggio is always rendering fruit that is almost rotten, things that have been kicked by life, that have been forgotten, that have been mistreated, that he will pick them up and give them a place, right? A high place in history. Let's see here. Napoleon says an entire story told by only one gesture. Totally. I love that. I dig that. That's very true. It's an entire story right here. This is the magic of Caravaggio. Again, this is Supper at Emmaus by Michelangelo Caravaggio. I'm showing you guys this through my computer monitor right here, and I want to do a little digging into this type of paintings, because going beyond the I guess the scholastic, whatever however it's called, academic, point of view. Going beyond that, going beyond what was going through Caravaggio's life. What did I mean? That, to me, that's all, like, it's important, but I don't see it as the thing. I think that artists tap into something a little bit more profound. They tend to do that, especially the big ones. They tend to, and they're big not because they tapped into that, but or the other, whatever came first, right? The chicken or the egg. But I believe that a lot of the big ones tapped into something very profound. They go deep within their work. And I think that Caravaggio was a master at telling a full story, like Napoleon says, talking about a full story. This painting, of course, was created in 1601, anywhere between 1601 and 1603, and it's created by Italian Baroque master Caravaggio because of the place he's from, right? His real name is Michelangelo. But check it out. I mean, I know you guys can't see much detail because of the monitor here and whatnot, but everything is given a place. But what strikes me the most is always the fruit, right? The fruit. He gets something that is forgotten and old, and it's almost ready to die, or it's been mistreated, right? And he'll give it a light. And I don't know who these figures are. I haven't read about who these figures are. I mean, the actual models, but I'm almost sure that they were probably just people he knew from the bars. And for all we know, Jesus was like, I don't know, Jesus was maybe he used a woman there, and we don't know. It kind of has the characteristics of a female, of a lady, or one of his buddies, or one of his drinking buddies. Who knows, right? But because that's just how cool he was, right? Caravaggio was like a rebel. He's a rebel with a cause. Again, I wish he would have been my friend, but then not, because I would have been like, dude, don't stab me. I don't know. Or I just want to go home. I don't want to hang out with you, Caravaggio, anymore. But again, guys, I want to be doing a little bit of some talks regarding some paintings that I find very interesting, and not just the academic point of view that a lot of historians and academics out there do, critics of artwork and whatnot, museum curators. They give some excellent talk about the background of the paintings, who funded the commission, what was happening in that specific time, and on and on and on. I like to see what the composition is talking about. I like to see from the artist's point of view, without maybe bearing that type of knowledge, without having that knowledge. Something that everyone can pick up without having the background knowledge, so that we don't get lost in many times what is, to me, is the minutia. What is more important is that you may not know anything about the historical facts of the painting, but when you see it, you understand it. And that's what I want to talk about. So guys, I'll leave you with that. I believe this painting is deeply, deeply spiritual. I think that this painting is talking about beyond Christianity, beyond, almost beyond the religious, not Christianity, but beyond the religious aspect. This painting is talking about something that the Messiah is teaching other people about the kingdom and the kingdom being the here and the now. So I love that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, guys. I will talk to you guys soon. If you liked this video, please give me some hearts. If you didn't agree with what I was saying, that's perfectly fine. I'm a big boy. You guys can tell me I don't like what you said. I didn't agree with it, or I think it's this. I don't think it's that. I also like the juxtaposition of the colors here, the red and the green, something I almost forgot to mention, right? Because as you see, messiahs are always painted in red, not only because it's the center of attention, but also because there's some sort of royalty associated, and it's always a very bright red. It's not purple as we think of royalty. We think of royalty as purple, or as royal blue, or some sort of purple, which is something that's been used in paintings from I don't know, from probably kings and whatnot. If you think of the capes, like Napoleon or whatever, you think of capes and whatnot, they're red, right? Very important people were red, and that's something that I see constantly in these paintings by these masters. Another painter that does that very well was, which I'm going to talk about later on, was the Party to Save the World. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. The red and the green always used very well by master artists. Another one that did it was, what's this cat's name? El Greco, Velázquez knew how to do that very well. Goya, certainly. All the Spanish cats, they knew what they were doing. And recently, not so recent, but recently, Manet was also using it well, but I think Manet was using it well because of the influence of Velázquez. But one that I personally think, this painting could very well be the Bark of Dante by Delacroix, by Eugène Delacroix. If you guys see, don't think about the figures, don't think about that, just think about the whole, the painting as a whole. Squint your eyes a little bit. I almost find the power of the Bark of Dante here. From the Divine Comedy, the painting that Delacroix did of the bark. Very, very. I don't know. To me, it's very deep, very, very deep. And I'm not talking about the realism and all that. No, that's just because that's how this cat's painted. This could be a cubist painting and still be very deep. It has nothing to do with how it was depicted. That was just due to the time. It was the composition of it. A lot of people get lost in oh, it's so realistic. Everybody can paint realistic, or everybody. Not everybody, but a lot of people. Every period has had some form of realism. That's not the point. The point goes beyond that. The point, Picasso could have painted this and still bear the power if he did the right things. Use the right colors and the right composition and the right gestures. Anyways, guys, I'll leave it with this because I don't want to bore you guys to death. I love talking about this kind of stuff. I live and breathe artwork. And I like to talk about it from a non-academic point of view because I think it's juicy and savory. So take care. Adios.